One of the things that I've noticed as I've gotten older is that everything seems to change, but everything really stays the same too. And it was one of those things that really surprised me at first, because you always think in order to be successful or achieve this goal, you sort of have to become a different person. And you sort of imagine yourself as a different person when you envision yourself in the future. But one of the things that never really changes is you. And that's not really a bad thing, and that's not entirely true either. Because you do change a lot. The way you view the world changes, your perspective changes as you gain more experience. But really, it's one of those things like when you think back to when you were a kid, it's not like you had a different personality. I think there's something inside of most people that will stay the same from the day they're born till the day they die. And when you start to recognize that fact, that no matter how much things change, there will always be a part of you that stays the same, there's so much more peace when it comes to achieving those goals, because you don't have to change anymore. You don't have to become a different person. All you have to do is change those habits. You have to change the mindset that you're approaching life with. You have to change your beliefs. You have to change the way you're thinking, not who you are. And I think that's one of the coolest ways to approach change, is recognizing that you have everything you need already inside of you. Then you have that mindset, you realize that you don't need to look for anything external either. You don't need to look for anything in other people. It also ties in pretty nicely with those quotes that say role models that you look up to, those great people, they're no more special than you are. I think that also means sort of clearly that if you don't like yourself, then you're never going to really be satisfied when you do achieve those goals. I think that's where self-love comes in, and that's why that is such a big deal. Self-love and belief are two of the most powerful things that will change your life if you actually have a healthy relationship with yourself, because, you're going to be you until you die. And that's just one of those lessons that took me a while to learn, took me a while to get the right words for. But once you realize that there's a part of you that is never going to change, and that's a good thing, that you can use that part to steer you in the right direction, and that means that you could be just as special as those great people you look up to. I think that's a big deal. Don't be afraid of change. That's something that has really been a part of my mindset for a long time, that it's sort of shocking to see how scared other people are of change. Recently, I decided to quit my job and look for a new one, and that was really exciting for me. But I looked around at my coworkers who had been there for years, and no shade to them. Everyone has their own circumstances and own desires for what they want to do with their life. But I realized that so many of them had been staying in the same spot, not because they're happy there, or that they had found something meaningful or worthwhile there, but because they were too scared and too complacent and too comfortable to change it. And I think that's where a lot of people lose themselves. You have to be willing to constantly change. You have to be happy with the change. You have to face the change and choose to change instead of choosing to remain stagnant. Really, it wasn't a big deal for me. I know that a lot of the time change is way harder for people because they have things to lose. But approaching life with the mindset that you have to change makes everything so much easier. Think about it like this. If you never change, then you never grow either. So if you approach life with the mindset that change is necessary, and be happy for change and actually invite it, then you can guarantee that even if you move backwards, at least you're not staying stagnant. At least you're not being complacent and comfortable, because that's really where dreams die. And I think that's one of the most important things to understand, is that you don't lose dreams when you lose. You don't fail when you lose progress or go backwards. You fail when you never move again. You fail when that's your final destination. Invite change in your life. Change is the best thing that could ever happen to you. Even if you have things to lose, even if there are stakes, even if it's scary, you have to realize that change is the only thing that'll ever help you grow. So it's turning fall, and around this time last year, I remember saying something that is really sticking with me. And at the time, the people around me didn't get it. Even I sort of cringed when I said it. But isn't it crazy how in our lives we're only going to see maybe 70 or 80 falls and winters and springs and summers, and yet we take each one for granted? We only have 80. We could tally that. If you're lucky and you live super long, maybe you can see 100 in your lifetime. And yet something so rare, something so of short supply, we don't even think twice about it. It's sort of an inconvenience to us, when the seasons change. And I think that's just something to think about, something to take solace in, something to appreciate. The fact that so much of life goes unnoticed, that sort of as time is counting down, the clock is always ticking. The fact that I'm going to see one less fall once this ends, it's not really something people think about. So try to be grateful for everything in the moment. Try to have that peace of mind and awareness, to have that gratitude for everything that you have right now, that you're experiencing, because everything comes to an end,